Hey guys, this is Dan with Gears and Gadgets. Thanks for tuning in. So I'm coming to you guys now with this 2021 Ford F-150 PowerBoost. I've owned this thing now for 1,718 miles as I'm recording this video. And I wanted to talk about the difference between V8 power and V6 power. I know it's a hotly debated topic in trucks. And honestly, my opinion up until buying this truck was, especially in this time that we're in now, is that I wanted to buy a V8 because I think the V8s are slowly going to die out. It seems to me with fuel economy and things like that, that the V8 is kind of going to go the way of the dinosaur in the relatively near future. So when I was looking at trucks, I actually even have considered a Ram TRX for the sake of kind of going out with a bang in terms of V8 power, supercharged, the 700 horsepower, and just really having a blast with that truck. But the reality of it set in where I still daily drive my truck, and the TRX is just not practical in that sense. Speaking of which, we have one right behind me now, but honestly just not great for a daily driver. So I started looking at all the other trucks on the market and started to figure out like what would be the best truck for me on the daily, and that was this 2021 Ford F-150 PowerBoost. Now this twin turbo V6 is no slouch. From this point, I have had nothing but great things to say about this motor, and combined with the PowerBoost, the hybrid power plant with this truck, it is an absolute monster. I have had a total blast driving this thing. It's like a driver's truck, if there ever was such a thing. Now there goes the V8, that is the 5.7 I think it is of the Toyota Tundra, and hearing that V8 rumble, it's awesome. I love it just as much as anybody else does. My old 5.3 GMC, I loved that V8. There's something about that power in a V8 that, while it might not be as fast as this truck, it sounds awesome. But what I've learned with this V6 is that if you can just, all sound aside, get in a truck and mash the gas and have it throw you back in your seat and go, that to me is more fun than hearing that rumble. So this truck, the PowerBoost, puts out 430 horsepower and 570 foot-pounds of torque. It is an absolute monster. So while you're going to hear, I can almost guarantee this Tundra will take off from the line based on how he just blew by me. You basically are replacing that sound, and I don't know what the Tundra has for horsepower, but I'll put that up here to kind of compare the two. Yeah, that sound is awesome, but again, the power that you get, horsepower and torque from this PowerBoost, far surpasses anything that Tundra can even hold a torch to at this point. Now the Tundra is coming out with a new truck for next year. A lot of people have criticized and said, why didn't you wait for the Tundra? And the answer is because if you're always waiting, yeah, it sounds good. But again, if you're always waiting, then you're never buying anything. At some point you need to decide, I'm in the market today, I'm going to buy the best thing that I can find on the market today, and that was, in my opinion, this 2021 F-150. So I'm going to go out right now. I actually have my Draggy. It is a magnetized 0 to 60 tester, and magnetized things in an all aluminum truck are very difficult to find a mounting place, but luckily there is a steel frame around the moonroof here, so it magnetizes there really nice and actually has a great view of the sky. I'm going to get out of this construction zone down here in unnamed area. We call it Mexico for the sake of YouTube humor. But I'm going to go and do a couple 0 to 60 pulls here so you guys can see what the actual times are on this truck. Now, I drive this truck daily, pretty much in normal mode all the time. I'll talk about transmission shifts in a moment. I'll switch the drive modes for this 0 to 60 over to sport mode. Now sport mode will switch over to 4 automatic. When you switch over to that mode, you can put it back into 2 high, which I will do here, and then you can also deactivate traction control, which we'll do. So that should remove all of the aids. Now sport mode on this truck, what I've noticed that it does is it will hold RPMs higher, so it keeps you in the power band a little bit more. It will not go into hybrid mode nearly as much. So as far as red lights and things like that, if you even just tap the gas a little bit, it'll fire that motor back up. and you're basically able to hit that power quicker in sport mode versus normal mode. It'll kind of launch you in more electric and then kick on the motor. There's a little bit more of a delay there. And sport mode in this truck is awesome. So while we're getting out of this construction zone, now heading into a school zone, but while we're getting out of this area, I do want to talk about transmission shifting. I have seen comments from people, and I've kind of experienced what I think they're talking about, which is jerky transmission shifting. This PowerBoost is certainly a unique powertrain, and I think if you're buying it, you need to understand what it is you're buying, which is a very technologically advanced version of any other vehicle you've ever driven before. This thing has a 10-speed transmission. It has a hybrid motor sandwiched in between the internal combustion motor, which is a very high horsepower motor in and of itself. So you've got that super torquey electric motor, the twin turbo V6 combined with a 10-speed transmission. And when you're providing throttle input, it is mapping so much information. And I'm not excusing away some sort of jerky transmission stuff, but I am certainly going to say I understand why it is the way that it is. This truck likes to be driven hard, and I've noticed that if you try to really baby the throttle, if you're really just trying to drive it conservatively, where you're not trying to keep it in EV mode, and you're also not trying to hammer it either, you get in this kind of weird gray zone of the truck trying to manage that itself. And yes, it will shift from first to third. It'll skip gears. There is not any reason why the truck needs to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 through the gears, or else it would just be shifting nonstop. When you're in that kind of more timid style of driving, that it does feel like it's doing a little more of kind of hunting of where it needs to be. But once you get into sport mode and you start hammering on this thing, the downshifts are super quick. It just likes to be driven hard. That's kind of my experience with it. Even in normal mode. Now, if you do want it to be a little more reserved in its driving, you can switch it over to eco mode, and that eco mode does smooth out all of those shifts from my experience and makes that a lot more, everything more timid. It makes the shifts more timid. It makes the power input more timid. I almost think that Ford, although I'm happy that they didn't, but I think they should have for the masses, made eco mode more of the normal tuning and then having maybe like a sport mode on top of that. I do think the shifts get a little bit smoother and everything just feels more refined in eco mode. So for anybody who might have that critique, who thinks their truck is a little bit jerkier than they would like it to be, try eco mode. That's kind of my input on that. So what I'm going to do here, this is actually a great place to do a quick 0 to 60 pull, reset it, give it a little power, get the gas, get the motor to kick on, and go. And 60. 6.45 seconds, 0 to 60. Okay, so we'll reset it. Traffic is cleared out. And we will do another run here, reset, get the motor on, and go. And 60. 6.74 seconds. And we'll go back to 4 auto, which is how it prefers to be driven. Reset. Brake torque to 2.4, go. And 60, 6.37 seconds. That's probably about the best that I'm gonna get. So let's see, maybe I can try to grab another one here. Yeah, I've got enough time to do another one here, so we'll reset. Get on it quick, get to 0. Reset. 2.5, go. 6.39 seconds, 0 to 60. So yeah, this thing is it's a fast truck. I mean, that is quick for a truck for sure. I'm sure I could do better. I'm not a drag racer by no means, but this is a quick truck. It's a fun truck to drive. So we'll go from that and I'll switch it over to eco mode now. So let's see, eco. So now we're back over to eco mode, and this is how I'm saying that you can drive this thing and really kind of get it to kind of mellow out all of the shifting and everything. It starts to kind of just drive a little bit smoother. So there I just went from doing 0 to 60 pulls, running it, you know, high up into the RPM range, and 4 auto, traction control off, and now here we are, green leaves, and trying to see what we can get this thing to do smoothed out. So as you're coasting to a stop, a motor kills, it goes down to just running electric mode only, and just throttle inputs are way more mellow. The shifts are way more mellow. Everything just really seems to calm down in eco mode. So that's kind of what I want to say to some of the people who kind of complain about harsh shifts. Now, I'm not saying that there's not something bigger there. It's quite possible that maybe there's a handful of these trucks that have bigger issues. Maybe there's some software updates that will come out and change remapping how the transmission shifts through normal mode. Again, I don't doubt that at some point they try to detune normal mode a little bit to make it a little more normal. I do think that the normal mode is a bit more sport biased than eco biased, and they probably should shift that over a little bit. Just kind of my take on that. So Motor Trend has this truck at 5.3 seconds for 0 to 60 time. I'm 1 second slower than that. I'm not too sure how they do their testing, where they do their testing. This is obviously very real world testing for me out here on the streets, so that's the best that I was able to get today. Again, I'm not too sure how they have those things dialed in when they do those runs, where they do those runs. So, but either way, again, 6.3 seconds for a truck. For me, that's plenty fast, and it's fun because with this vehicle, you get yourself in a position where you can have a blast with it, but it's still a truck. It's still super capable. You could tow up to, I think, 12,000 pounds. But then you can turn it into sport mode when you're out on the streets, being a hooligan, and have an absolute blast with it. So this is a very great all-around vehicle for me. When I make purchases, I tend to not buy something that's as much specialized. I try to kind of have it serve a lot of utility. Same reason why I bought my 2018 Heritage. It's a great touring bike, but it's also a lighter weight bike, so it's great around town. I like my stuff to be able to pull kind of double duty or multiple duty, and this truck does that very well. So I'm really happy with it so far at just under 1,800 miles. It's been awesome. Now, miles per gallon hasn't been great. It's not getting the 24 that they advertise, but it's not getting the 24 that they advertise because I'm not driving it to get the 24. As of right now, this is getting, where are we at here? 18.5. It is getting 4 miles per gallon better than my 5.3 that I had previously, the GM. So it's doing better than my old truck, and it's doing it more fun, and it's also doing it with a heck of a lot more creature comforts. Yes, these trucks are expensive. I know they're expensive. Whole nother video for another day. I think I'm going to do one on that because, man, I get more comments about prices of trucks these days than it's not surprising, but at the same time, I just feel like everybody on the internet has turned into my grandfather talking about how much gas used to be when they started driving, not accounting for the fact that their salary is likely 2 to 3 times more than what it was at the same time. So I'm going to make a 5 things I hate about this truck video, but I'm not going to lie, I am having a very difficult time quantifying those and making them not just be silly, but I'm going to do that video. I want to do it with as much rhyme and reason behind it as I possibly can. That will be coming. So again, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to help support the channel. I'll see you guys next time.